The Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Genesis 6 verses 5 to 6. Did a global catastrophe really reshape the world as we know it? Noah, chosen by God for his righteousness, was tasked with a monumental mission. He diligently constructed an immense vessel to house himself, his family, and representatives of every creature on earth. A great storm swept across the land, its deluge lasting 40 days and 40 nights, inundating the entire planet. The world had become utterly corrupt, filled with violence and wickedness. People's hearts were turned away from goodness, and their thoughts constantly revolved around evil. This darkness spread throughout the land, leaving no corner untouched by its influence. It grieved God deeply to see his creation so twisted and marred by sin. He observed the human race with sorrow, recognizing that they had strayed far from his original purpose for them. God's heart ached at the sight of such widespread depravity. The once beautiful earth was now stained with the consequences of human actions. Despite offering guidance and direction through prophets and revelations, humanity continued on their destructive path. God's love remained steadfast, but he knew that this state of affairs could not continue indefinitely. The wickedness of humanity had reached its peak, making it impossible for them to follow his righteous ways any longer. This corruption deeply saddened God, who had desired a harmonious relationship with his creation. He watched as the human race descended further into darkness, their choices leading them away from him and towards destruction. Amidst this pervasive darkness, there was one soul who remained steadfast in his righteousness: Noah. He walked with God, living a life guided by his principles and teachings. Noah's heart yearned for justice and purity, choosing to reject the corrupting influences that surrounded him. He stood as a beacon of hope in a world consumed by sin. God saw Noah's faithfulness and integrity, recognizing his unwavering devotion amidst the chaos. This righteous man found favor in God's eyes, becoming a symbol of his enduring love for those who sought to follow his path. God instructed Noah precisely how to construct the ark, leaving no detail to chance. It was to be a massive vessel, a shelter of salvation amidst the impending deluge. Each dimension and material were meticulously specified, reflecting God's unwavering attention to detail and his desire for this ark to be a sanctuary of hope. Noah diligently followed these instructions, laboring tirelessly to build the ark according to God's exact specifications. Every board was cut, every seam sealed, every compartment designed with careful precision. The ark became a testament to Noah's obedience and faith, a tangible expression of his commitment to carry out God's will. With the ark nearing completion, God instructed Noah to gather animals of every kind. He was to bring pairs of all creatures, ensuring a diversity of life would be preserved within the ark's protective walls. This wasn't simply a matter of rounding up any animal that crossed Noah's path. It involved meticulous selection, bringing together creatures from distant lands and diverse habitats. Imagine the task: gathering soaring birds, slithering snakes, lumbering elephants, and tiny insects, each one carefully chosen to ensure the continuation of God's creation. Noah would have needed to navigate treacherous terrains, forge paths through dense forests, and cross vast plains to fulfill this divine mandate. He was entrusted with a monumental responsibility, safeguarding the future of all living things. The day finally arrived when the heavens opened and unleashed a torrent of rain upon the earth. It was a deluge unlike anything the world had ever seen, a relentless downpour that would reshape the landscape and forever alter the course of history. People huddled within their homes, seeking refuge from the relentless onslaught of water. The once familiar terrain transformed into a churning sea, swallowing fields, forests, and mountains whole. It was a chaotic scene, a symphony of crashing waves and howling winds. Each day brought a fresh wave of destruction, a grim reminder of the power of nature unleashed. The ark, meanwhile, bobbed precariously on the rising waters, its occupants watching as the world outside their refuge disappeared beneath the deluge. Noah, his family, and the myriad creatures aboard were surrounded by an ocean of despair. The silence that descended upon the earth was broken only by the ceaseless drumming of rain and the mournful cries of those lost to the flood. The heavens opened and released a torrent of rain that washed over the earth, relentlessly day after day. Each downpour intensified the rising waters, engulfing mountains, valleys, and plains. The world was consumed by an endless deluge, driven by a force beyond comprehension. By this time, the Ark, now carrying Noah's family and a multitude of creatures, had become their solitary sanctuary amidst the chaos. They watched helplessly as the familiar landscape vanished beneath the swirling waters, replaced by a terrifying expanse of gray and white. The relentless drumming of rain against the Ark's hull served as a constant reminder of the destructive power unleashed upon the world. Days turned into weeks, and weeks bled into months. Inside the Ark, life went on in a strange, confined rhythm. Noah's family kept busy tending to their animals, ensuring they had enough food and water. The constant sound of rain drumming against the Ark's hull was a lullaby that never ended. It was a world of cramped quarters, shared smells, and a persistent sense of isolation. They could only hope for an end to this relentless deluge, a return to the familiar sights and sounds of the outside world. Sometimes, Noah would stand on the deck of the Ark, gazing out at the endless expanse of water. It was hard to imagine anything beyond this watery prison. He clung to faith, knowing that even in this bleakness, there was a promise of renewal. The world outside was drowning. Every living creature that wasn't aboard Noah's Ark perished beneath the relentless deluge. Mountains were swallowed whole, valleys disappeared under layers of water, and the earth itself seemed to groan under the weight of the flood. There were no birdsong, no rustling leaves, only the deafening roar of the waters. The silence was punctuated by the occasional desperate cry from a creature caught in the rising tide. It was a stark reminder that life, as they knew it, was gone. After what felt like an eternity, the relentless deluge finally began to recede. The waters, which had once swallowed entire mountains and valleys, slowly retreated back to their designated boundaries. A glimmer of hope pierced through the gloom as the sun peeked through the parting clouds, casting long shadows across the sodden landscape. A new silence settled upon the world, one devoid of the crashing waves but filled with an eerie stillness. The receding waters left behind a transformed earth, scarred and bare. Noah, along with his family and the animals they had sheltered aboard the Ark, emerged from their temporary haven onto a changed world. They stepped cautiously onto muddy ground, taking in the immense scale of the devastation around them. Everything was shrouded in a damp mist, carrying the scent of fresh earth mingled with decay. The air was thick with anticipation, tinged with both trepidation and a newfound sense of possibility. As the waters continued to recede, revealing the true extent of the flood's wrath, it became clear that this was a moment not just of survival, but also of renewal. Noah, filled with a cautious optimism, decided to send out a scout into this newly revealed world. First, he released a raven, its dark silhouette cutting against the pale sky. It circled overhead, searching for signs of life and dry land. Days turned into nights, and still, the raven returned, finding no resting place. Hope began to dwindle. Then, Noah sent forth a dove, its white feathers a symbol of purity against the backdrop of devastation. The dove soared, wings beating against the fresh air, searching for solace in this transformed world. On the second attempt, the dove returned with a tender olive leaf tucked in its beak, a fragile sprig of life amidst the barren landscape. It was a beacon of hope, a promise that life would persevere. Noah watched, his heart filled with a renewed sense of wonder and gratitude. The olive leaf spoke of resilience, of nature's ability to heal even after the most devastating storms. After weeks of waiting, Noah finally saw it, dry land emerging from the receding waters. His heart surged with a mix of relief and awe. The floodwaters had receded, revealing a world washed clean, yet still bearing the scars of destruction. It was a reminder that even in the depths of despair, hope could blossom anew. Noah knew this wasn't just a new beginning for him. It was a fresh start for all creation. He watched as animals, big and small, cautiously ventured onto the land, their weary steps echoing across the newly exposed earth. He sent out a dove once more, but this time it returned not with an olive leaf, but without carrying anything at all, a sign that the land was ready to be reborn. Noah built an altar on the mountaintop and offered a sacrifice of thanksgiving. The air was thick with the scent of incense as he presented his offering to the Almighty, a gesture of gratitude for deliverance and a promise to live according to God's will. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the earth any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living, as I have done. Genesis 8 verses 21 to 22. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and something new, the aroma of sacrifice. Noah had constructed an altar on the mountaintop, a symbol of his devotion rising above the receding floodwaters. He offered burnt offerings to the Almighty, each piece representing his gratitude for deliverance and a commitment to walk in accordance with God's will. The smoke from the fire curled upwards, carrying his prayers and pleas heavenward. It was a silent conversation between man and God, a heartfelt exchange born out of humility and hope. Noah understood that this wasn't just about appeasing a higher power. It was about acknowledging his sovereignty and reaffirming his place within his creation. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the earth any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living, as I have done. Genesis 8 verses 21 to 22. The human race had multiplied and spread across the earth, their languages evolving into a myriad of tongues. It was at this time they gathered together in the plains of Shinar, driven by ambition and a desire to make a name for themselves. They yearned to build a city, its towers reaching towards the heavens, a monument to human ingenuity and power. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Genesis 11 verses 4 to 5. They labored tirelessly, hauling stones and shaping bricks, their collective will forging a structure that defied earthly limits. The city grew, brick by brick, stone by stone, a testament to human pride and determination. But this ambition was met with divine intervention. God looked down upon their endeavor and saw not just their craftsmanship but also their arrogance. He knew their hearts were set on defying his purpose for them. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. Genesis 11 verse 5. Their unity was shattered, and their language was confounded. They could no longer understand one another, their shared vision dissolving into a babel of confusion. This divine decree scattered them across the face of the earth, their grand project left unfinished, a silent reminder of the perils of unchecked ambition. And the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Genesis 11 verse 8.